Live a life in flow, where your deepest heart's desires become reality. At Set to Love, we offer strategies and ideas on how you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go. Good morning. Today we are talking about the endocannabinoid system. I'm glad I said that word right. I think I did. With our very special guest, Lea Durante. She's a nurse practitioner, and we're going to be talking about flow at a cellular level. So please welcome my best friend, Shelly, and our guest today, Lea. Welcome, welcome. So grateful to have you here today. And I'm so excited about this topic. You sent me a TED Talk. I watched it, and I cannot wait to dive in. There's going to be so much good information for our audience. So welcome to Set to Love today.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here. I'm very, very grateful for the invitation. I love the platform and the energy you guys are bringing to really empower all of us to be in that space of flow and love. It's really exciting. So I'm honored to be here.
Thank you so much. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? Tell us how you even got into this. How come endocannabinoids are your thing?
Yeah.
And what we need to know about it.
Absolutely. So I am a nurse practitioner. I'm actually in Napa, California. I've been a family nurse practitioner in primary care for the last 10 years. I'm also a wife and a mama. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. And like all of us, 2020 has thrown us all the curveballs. So my husband's small business is a live event business, and that obviously has stopped for the last 9 months. And so we actually were kind of just in a place of challenge, really, from our family's perspective, and just emotionally, that was very hard. And I was looking for kind of ways to be involved in health and wellness in the online space, which I think so many of us have been pivoting kind of towards how do I interact from home and from the online space, because so much of our world is kind of closed off in the traditional sense. And I, as a nurse practitioner, have been evolving in my practice more to a holistic care place. I feel like my patients are asking me like, Lea, I don't want another prescription. Like, isn't there something more natural? Isn't there a way to take care of myself that like heals me and gets to the root of things instead of putting another Band-Aid or you know, the pill to help sleep, the pill for anxiety, the pill for pain? Like, how can we fix this? And so I feel like all of those experiences kind of in the way, and it really feels like a moment of kind of flow and opening yourself up to the universe. You know, when you do that, and when you're truly searching and seeking and being open, I came across the TED Talk that I shared with you, and it blew my mind. It was the answer to all of these things. And so what this TED Talk was about this secret system, this physiologic system that's in our body. That's actually, it's so beautiful that flow is your kind of your guys' energy space, because really the endocannabinoid system is the system in our body that has been created within our cells to help us to show up calm, focused, patient, kind of good energy, kind of turn down that negative and anxious voice, kind of turn down the volume on the difficulties that come through, and to help our body feel in ease throughout our days. And I had no idea. Again, 10 years nurse practitioner. I do all my continuing education. I went to a pretty darn good graduate program. Just like there's the cardiovascular system, and you've seen the heart and the veins and the arteries in the textbooks, and everybody's seen the skeletal system, you know, with all the bones throughout our body. We have this system in our body with that has targets in all of the organ systems throughout our whole body. There's actually more receptors in our body for cannabinoids than any other receptor. You could kind of think about it like the endocrine system. So it's these chemical messengers that move throughout our body. And what's neat about them is that they have different functions and purposes depending on where they're acting. So the receptors and then these cannabinoids. So our body, and this is like shocking, you guys might not know this, but our body makes cannabinoids. So cannabinoids, and the word that kind of gets associated with it is cannabis. And so there's kind of the stigma that goes around with, well, is that marijuana? What is this? And so there's all of this stigma around this really natural system where our body is making cannabinoids every day to help our mood, to reduce anxiety and depression, and to help us sleep better, to help our digestion, to help aches and pains and tension in our muscles. So it's really phenomenal when we start looking at balancing and repleting, because we can be depleted of our own natural cannabinoids, how much better people can feel. And when we can feel better, I feel like that opens us to kind of live in flow and in our purpose, because we're not fighting against that struggle so deeply. So I came across that TED Talk, and I had that moment of 10 years of clinical practice wash over me. And I said, this is the piece of science that I've been missing. This is what every person has been coming in and talking to me about. I can't sleep, and I'm so stressed, and I don't have energy, and I'm not motivated, and my back hurts. And from the medical model, there's lots of different prescriptions that we kind of look at. And of course there's lab work, but to find out that there is a root cause that we could then really help to assist and support to help people feel better was super exciting. And I'm sure you ladies have had the experience when you're like, whoa, this is it. And so I kind of just jumped in full steam. So I've really only been in this space for about 7-8 months, but I'm learning a ton every day, and really, I think mostly just so incredibly impressed with the profound results it's having for people in their lives as they learn about this system and they learn about how to care for it.
So I'm going to let Shelly ask the next question, but I want to ask the first one is, why do you think this has been so secret? Why has there been so much stigma? Why does this feel like it's fringe, it's woo-woo, it's out there, it's something that people don't know about? Why do you as a nurse practitioner, how were you not taught this in school?
Yeah.
What kept us from having this information?
Well, I think two really important things. It's actually a very new discovery. So It was only discovered in the 1990s. So we discovered that THC can sit on receptors in our body. So we have a long history of understanding human physiology by studying plants. So if you think about, we learned about opioid receptors by studying the poppy plant. And then we created pharmaceutical pain medicine. We learned about nicotinic receptors in our brain from studying the tobacco plant. So we have this long history of understanding that plants actually fit inside our physiology. I mean, it's wild, but it's real.
We're part of Mother Earth. I mean, why wouldn't it be?
Exactly, right? Yeah.
Hello.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay. So there's one. Yes.
So the history is, for thousands of years, medicine men, medicine women, healers from different cultures around the world had been using the cannabis plant to help people with the human condition, all the things, the tummy troubles, the trouble sleeping, the stress, like that has been going on forever. The intuitive healers knew that it worked, right? It's like they were probably more in line with that sense of knowing that's deeper than our intellectual sense. And so they had used it. I mean, interestingly, you might be kind of interesting to know that like using a cannabis-based tincture was actually one of the most commonly prescribed remedies by doctors here in this country in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. So
what happened? So I'm captivated.
I know. So the doctors still didn't know why, but they had, this was kind of ancient wisdom or kind of pre-scientific method wisdom. And so then around the 30s, we had kind of the start of laws around drugs really in this country. And so the hemp plant, which is different than the marijuana plant, both of them were kind of wrapped up in some laws that were created. So it's similar to prohibition, like how we went through that period of time where alcohol was prohibited in our country. We had laws prohibiting the use of cannabis, both the hemp form and the marijuana form, starting in the 1930s. And so we stopped studying it. So it stopped being used. It all of a sudden, this tincture that was being used very well by doctors throughout our country was now illegal. We were prohibited from using it. Fast forward, and subsequently, that was about the time that we were having, kind of the rise in the pharmaceutical industry. The 30s is when we started to develop antibiotics and penicillin, which were incredible discoveries, but we really kind of moved to this chemical created treatment model.
That's because of the Flexner report, right? And like Carnegie and Rockefeller and putting more money into creating pharmacies and a healthcare industry versus this natural, holistic, unpatentable plant, right? Is
yes.
So we kind of go to we go to the shift. And so now it's like the money. We're all about the money. And so who cares about the plant you can grow in your backyard?
Yeah, okay. I mean, you can't patent it. It's very difficult. We were moving through this kind of chemical revolution, this pharmaceutical revolution, and that's what was happening at that time. And the plants got thrown to the wayside. And then from a legal perspective, we prohibited them. The great news is other countries were more open-minded. So there was a lot of beautiful research being done because there was still, again, this base of human wisdom about this plant and how it helps. And so in Israel, there was quite a few teams of scientists. And so in the 60s, they discovered the receptors in our bodies. And it didn't come until the 1990s that we actually discovered that we make cannabinoids. So it was one thing that that the plant fits inside our physiology. It was a whole nother, the sunshine's coming in on my face.
That's all right. Looks beautiful. You're glowing.
So when the scientists in the 1990s, we discovered we actually have this system. So it was brand new to the textbooks, right? You could cut open a cadaver and see the heart and the cardiovascular system. You couldn't see the endocannabinoid system until we could discover it at a cellular level. And what I've been reading is they actually believe that the development of the endocannabinoid system and the way that it acts to manage and mitigate stress and kind of overexcitability of our cellular level is what led our brains, to be able to be developed, to evolve to be these, these Homo sapiens with large, big frontal lobes and big brains. So it's been huge in the development of our human nature and our humanness, but we just didn't understand it. So for me, what's really exciting is it's like this coming together of ancient wisdom, intuitive knowing from healers who've been taking care of the human condition and helping other people live better and feel better, partnered with, now we have the science. So now we understand the why. But during the 1990s, it was still prohibited here in this country. So we couldn't study it. So these studies were happening again in other parts of the world. And it's just been a really slow process to kind of unwind the stigma of the plants and really understand the therapeutic benefit for it.
All right, Shelly. Sorry, I'm taking up so much of the time. I'm fascinated. Oh, wait. Hold on. There you go.
Okay, hold on, Harper. We're almost done, Harper. Hold on 1 second here. Sorry. My question is, I'm from the old school, and the part about it being cannabis and you think marijuana and all of that. And, it's really weird because I don't have a judgment of another person, but the thought that I would, do anything with cannabis or whatever, it's almost like good girls don't do this. So if I was your patient, I would want to, but I would worry about what someone would think, which is stupid because if it's your health, why wouldn't you, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess that's my question. what would you say to someone to get over some of these phobias or these things that it's bad? Because it's obviously really good and it's helping a lot of people. And then you have people like me that, let's just say I don't, but let's say I had anxiety or I couldn't sleep at night. I don't want to take pills. And if there's something natural that actually would work, you know, that would be my question. How could you help people that have an old mindset to change this so that you can help more people?
I really appreciate that question. Thank you so much. Because, and in all transparency, that was my perspective, right? You know, we were talking a little bit before. I grew up in the like just say no to drugs era. Like, it was never my thing. So I came with that same mindset, and so I think it's really, thank you, Shelly, for that question, because it's really helpful. I think when we can again understand from a scientific perspective. So cannabis is a plant, but there are two plants. There, in the way I've compared it to people before, it's like there's an apple tree, right? An apple tree. Some apple trees make red apples, and some apple trees make green apples. And the fruit of that plant, even though the apple tree's leaves look the same and things like that, but from the outside of the apple is different, the taste is different. From a molecular structure, the apples actually are different. And so that's the difference between when I'm talking about hemp versus marijuana. So I'm really speaking about utilizing hemp-based cannabis to support our endocannabinoid system. And hemp-based cannabis is the leaves look the same as marijuana, which is where the stigma comes from. But the molecular structure of hemp is actually to be, the majority of it is what we call CBD or cannabidiol. And it has just a tiny bit of THC, so less than 0.3% of THC. So THC is the molecule that is responsible for the high or the euphoria that comes from marijuana. And when we're talking about kind of medicinal cannabis or hemp, we're talking about a plant that is made up of similar chemicals that we would find in Brussels sprouts, for example. But because the leaves look like what the leaves do, I think that people, we jump to that mindset that we've been really conditioned with in our society. So it's very different. Marijuana has between 5 and 30% THC, and then hemp-based is 0.3 or less. That's the federal definition. And hemp is now legal in all 50 states. So that was a big shift in 2018, that finally, from a legal perspective and a federal perspective, we separated these two plants. These two plants are very different. And the World Health Organization has looked at CBD, and there's no intoxication, there's no high, there's no public health risk to it, there's no addiction risk to it. So we're really talking about two different things. So I think understanding that difference is important.
Yeah, for sure. And I think with 2020, a lot of people are really, when you get so broken down, you're willing to be more open. And okay, what can I do? How can I help myself? How can I help my health? How can I help all this anxiety I'm feeling? And so it's beautiful that it found you in this year. And now here you are sharing this message. And so hopefully there's people out there who, if you're struggling, if you're not sure which way to go, you don't want more prescriptions or any prescriptions. This is such a beautiful natural remedy. Lea, where can people find you if they have more questions, if they want to dive deeper? Where on social media can someone connect with you?
Yes, so I'd be honored to help anyone. So this is the work that I'm doing, and I'd be honored to help anyone kind of incorporate this hemp-based plant into their life. You can find me at lea.durante.np on Instagram, and I'm Lea Durante on Facebook. My email is lea.durante.np@gmail.com. You can shoot me an email, and I'd be honored to answer questions and support you in utilizing this plant to really help some of those significant challenges that we all face. And one last thing that I might say is what's so neat about supporting this system is it's not just about treating a negative system, like if you have anxiety or sleep issues or tummy troubles, but really what we're finding, what the research is showing is it's a profound preventative measure. that supporting this endocannabinoid system can decrease inflammation in our body. And we know that inflammation is linked to all kinds of different health conditions, from diabetes and heart disease, and, you know, kind of even some links that inflammation in our brain can lead to Alzheimer's. So it's really profound to support that endocannabinoid system. So there's lots of ways to do it. The hemp tinctures are one way to, it's probably the most effective way, but even something as simple as going out into nature or connecting with a friend are things that increase our naturally occurring cannabinoids. So deep breathing, yoga, singing and dancing. So all these things that, like, they feel really good after you do them. You feel you feel better. You feel in the flow after you've had a great conversation with a friend and you've really felt heard. That's your endocannabinoid system, like, pumped up and working.
Yes, I love it. Lea, thank you so much for being on our show today and for sharing all of this beautiful information, for helping to reduce the stigma that's out there so people can feel more in flow in their bodies. It's so important. When we want to have the right mindset, we also want to have our bodies feel more in flow. So thank you so, so much for being a part of the show today.
Again, I'm so honored. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much. What a great day.
A beautiful day. And we just want to let everyone know, if you have questions, if you want to get connected to us or our show, we are here weekday mornings, 8:30 a.m., set2love.com or settolovepodcast@gmail.com. Thanks again, everyone. Lea, hang on. We'll just chat with you for 1 second after we hit the end broadcast button. Thanks, everyone, again. We appreciate you. We love you. Have a great day.
Hit the bell.